If you work professionally as a software developer, there is a very, very high chance that you have some team around you, that you're not the only programmer working on the product that you're building, that there are some other developers working on the same code base. And even if you're the only programmer in your company, then there are some other people around you, like product manager or project manager, maybe customers, maybe some other stakeholders that you need to talk to, even just from time to time. What I'm saying is that there are some people around you that you need to communicate with regarding the product that you're building. Good, efficient communication is something that may turn average team into a good team. It is something that may turn a good programmer into a great programmer. But also poor communication, lack of understanding among the teammates is something that may turn a group of great programmers into a team that fails to meet its goals. My name is Gregory, you're watching Not Only Code, and today we're talking about how improving your communication skills can help you become a senior developer. Let's do it. There is a stereotype of a lonely genius programmer who sits at home with 2 or 5 screens around them, who codes alone, doesn't talk to other people, doesn't go out, works on their own product, and eventually releases some brilliant piece of software. It is not entirely a myth. I know that there are some brilliant programmers. There are some brilliant programmers that don't want to talk to other people, that prefer to work alone, that want to build their own software. And there are some brilliant programmers who don't want to talk to other people, who want to write their own software, and who produce something amazing. They're extremely rare though. So if your idea of a successful career as a software developer is to follow such path, I would say that your chances are less than great. On the other hand, if you want to be a successful software developer and you decide that you will be working on your communication skills, on your general professional skills, along with your programming abilities, then you have a higher chance of success even if you're not a genius. Communication is such a wide topic that I could record like 10 or 20 different videos talking about various aspects of professional communication. So treat this video as kind of an intro to the topic, as an overview, as basics of improving your communication skills. If we want to start improving the way we communicate with others, I think it's a good idea to reverse this thing and to first understand what are popular problems with communication. What are the issues that people face when talking to each other, whether face-to-face or via email or via some kind of a chat or video conferencing? There are many potential issues. So let me talk about a couple of them, a couple of quite popular problems that I often notice when working with other programmers. The first issue is interrupting each other. This is something that happens so often during meetings, and I'm pretty sure that you've noticed it at least a couple of times. People who interrupt other people are just so annoying. They do not let others finish their thoughts, they have some better idea, they talk over each other, and the whole meeting, it doesn't even have to be a meeting, just a conversation, turns into a mess because nobody except for that one person can finish their thought, can express their idea. Second problem is always being negative about everything. I used to be that guy. I used to be rather negative about maybe not every, but a lot of changes that were introduced, about sudden shifts in priorities, about things that I didn't really agree with. And while it is a good idea to have someone who is rather skeptical and forces everyone to think more about the changes that are being introduced, don't be the person that's always negative, because it changes the mood in the room, it lowers the morale of the whole team. There are situations where the whole team is excited about something. Let's say we are introducing a new tool to our stack. Or there may be a situation where the whole team needs to stick together and meet a very tight deadline. And then there is this one person that is just complaining about it, that is discouraging everyone, that constantly finds some problems in these new tools, in these new ideas. That one person can have big negative impact on the whole team. The third problem is the volume of communication. So some people talk too little and some people talk way too much. And this is a single problem because it's about balancing the volume of communication, trying to find the most efficient way to talk to others. One of the reasons why people talk too little is that they are uncomfortable with sharing their thoughts because they are not confident enough in their skills, in their opinions. They do not believe that their opinion can actually contribute something productive to the problem. And then on the other side, we've got people who talk too much. Sometimes the problem here is that these people do not know how to express their thoughts, how to express their ideas in a more concise, in a shorter way. And the other category is people who have simply very dominating personalities, and they talk a lot because they want to lead the meetings, they want to lead the conversation, they want their problems to be solved, they want their ideas to be implemented. And yet another problem is being seen as rude, impolite, or unprofessional in your communication. This is a problem that might be a bit challenging to determine and to realize that you might actually be that person. Why is it challenging? Well, that's because the style of communication and how direct or indirect you should be in your communication, what kind of words and phrases are considered professional or unprofessional, it all depends on the environment where you are. It depends on the culture of the country where you work, the people around you, the culture of the company, the management style, lots of different things. All right, so now that we have a few examples of potential communication issues that can happen around you, and again, this is a very small subset of all the potential issues. Now that we have them, we can think about how to improve our communication. The first step, obviously, is to realize that there is something to be improved. There are different ways to learn about it. The first is that someone comes to you and says straight to your face that, hey, you have crossed the line, you shouldn't be talking like that. Or, hey, this was actually a half-an-hour meeting that should have been an email. But it's not very common to get such a direct feedback. Instead, you might notice some more subtle signs. For example, when you talk to a group of people, when you sit in a meeting, you might see that people are bored. You might see on their faces that they are shocked by something that was said. You may see that they are not engaging. You might just realize that something is off. And if you can't notice anything like that, it doesn't mean that everything's perfect. It just might mean that you do not notice it. As always, I recommend talking to your manager about anything that you want to improve, about anything that you would like to work on. Your manager hopefully has some insights, has some ideas on what is not perfect, on what can be improved, because they are observing you and the whole team interacting with each other. They read the emails, they see the messages on the chat, they talk to you during meetings, so they should know what you can do better. Once you know what you want to or need to improve, then you can start focusing on finding the situations where the problem appears. Let's say that your issue is that you interrupt other people when they're talking. Then whenever there is some meeting or some conversation, you should start noticing, you should start trying to notice the moment when you actually start interrupting someone. Initially, it will happen after the problem happens. So you might interrupt someone and later after the meeting you may think about, hey, damn, I interrupted someone again. But over time, you should be able to recognize the exact moment when you're going to interrupt someone, and you will stop yourself and you will think, okay, I will not interrupt that person. I can raise my hands just to show that I want to say something, but I will let them finish their thought first. Again, initially it might be a struggle, but over time you will get used to that and you will start recognizing these situations faster and faster, and eventually you will minimize this problem. Probably it's not something that you will eliminate entirely. It's very difficult to entirely remove some bad habits, some bad behavior, but you can really minimize it. And the last step is to keep remembering about it. Because if you stop thinking about these situations, then they may start happening again. It is quite easy to revert to the old habits and to these disruptive behaviors. A couple additional things that you can do is, for example, ask others for help. If your problem is that you appear too blunt in the emails that you write, just ask your colleague or ask someone around you to read the email that you just wrote, to check whether it is polite enough, whether it is not too direct, whether it can be received as negative or whether everything's fine. What also helps is to understand the root of the problem. So let's say that your communication is seen as too direct and you don't know why. You might try to understand the cultural differences between you and the other people around you. And some people may say that, hey, shouldn't other people learn about these differences too? Well, yes, everyone should. But don't be selfish. You don't want everyone to adjust to you. You want to improve your communication. You want to make sure that you are as efficient and as professional as possible in the way you talk to others. So try to learn about what is wrong and why it is perceived as wrong, and then try to adjust, move towards other people, towards their way of communicating. Some life coaches or business coaches say that one of the most efficient strategies of getting people to agree with you is to mimic their behavior, their body language, the words they use, the style in which they communicate. I don't know if that's really true and if it always works, and I definitely don't want you to do that just to get people to agree with you. But I think changing your communication style to resemble more the communication style within the company, within your team, within your social group, that definitely helps to be more included, to be heard more, and to be respected more by the people around you. As I said in the beginning of this episode, sometimes average teams can become great just by increasing their efficiency of their communication, by making sure that they understand each other better. And sometimes teams of great individual programmers can fail to meet their goals just because they cannot communicate well. So make sure to consider your communication skills as your core skills, as your core competencies, if you want to become a good senior lead or principal developer in the future. And in the next episode, I'm going to talk about health and about what kind of health problems can happen to programmers, what kind of issues are common, and how to ensure that you prevent these issues before they start happening. Stay tuned and see you in the next episode.